The first question is from Curmudgeon. Again, Curmudgeon is just a phenomenal name. He says, I feel like in regards to young up-and-coming quarterbacks, Gardner Minshew is often thrown on the back burner in comparison to players like Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield. Not that I can say I have studied their film as deeply as you might, but what is it about Gardner that is some analysts and sports commentators alike writing him off as a fringe starting quarterback while players like Daniel Jones, who had much better weapons, are viewed as franchise cornerstones? The biggest issue is that analysts, I believe, did not expect Gardner Minshew to work. He wasn't a first-round pick, and people have such a difficult time changing their viewpoint of a player. This is why analysts still say, well, I want to see what Josh Rosen can do. Well, just because you thought Josh Rosen was going to be good out of college doesn't mean it didn't work. And people thought that Gardner Minshew wasn't going to work out of college, so now they have a hard time shifting their view of a player. I mean, this happens in the real world too. When I started making YouTube videos, a lot of people are like, what the heck? I mean, the only people who watch my content are people who don't know me in real life because they view me as Zach Schaumler, the student, or the football player, or this or that. They can't view me as a sportscaster. It's hard to change your view of somebody and change other people's viewpoint of you. Drew Lock was a second-round pick, but when people saw him in college, everyone for years assumed Drew Lock is going to become a franchise quarterback. So even though he wasn't a top first-round pick, it made sense. Oh, that's the narrative we've always said about him. Nobody has ever believed that Gardner Minshew was going to become a franchise quarterback. They didn't in the NFL draft. They didn't when he was in college. He had to transfer to 4 different colleges. I mean, it's hard to change your opinion of people. And then remember, Gardner Minshew's on a bad roster. The Jaguars roster is terrible. Gardner Minshew could be fantastic next year and still lose because his team is terrible. Now, part of the reason why Dak Prescott was viewed so easily as a starter, even though he was a 4th-round pick, people did have to change their view of him, but Dak Prescott made it really hard because Dak Prescott won a bunch of games, was on a great roster, and made the playoffs. Because he won and made the playoffs, people were like, okay, well, Dak has to be a starter. So their viewpoint was easier to change. Gardner Minshew hasn't had that luxury. He's been on a bad team, the Jaguars. Now, I am confident in Gardner Minshew. I want to just imagine, let's imagine that the Jaguars discard Gardner Minshew after this year. They draft Trevor Lawrence instead. And, here's the thing. Trevor Lawrence is going to still be on a bad team. And so you're still the same Jaguars with a slightly different quarterback who you got to restart everything with. Meanwhile, Gardner Minshew would land on his feet. Okay, if the Jaguars get rid of Gardner Minshew, Bill Belichick will take him. Bill Belichick would love to have Gardner Minshew. Or he can go to the Saints and eventually replace Drew Brees. Or go replace Big Ben in Pittsburgh. I mean, Gardner Minshew is a great quarterback, and he's going to land on his feet somewhere. If the Jaguars don't believe in him, that's their problem. But Gardner Minshew is a good enough quarterback. He can leave Jacksonville and be okay and still find a way to make it work. If he goes to another team, he'll just do what he's always been doing, which is playing really well and leading men. He's a galvanizing, great leader who's got great accuracy, great timing. He's got NFL traits and NFL qualities. And I just think that if the Jaguars don't take advantage of the fact that they have a franchise quarterback, Gardner Minshew, on a rookie contract, they're idiots. Because you have a quarterback that you're paying nothing. Take advantage of that. Go get free agents. Go trade for people. Go make gigantic moves in free agency. Go pay great players and build around Gardner Minshew. And if the Jaguars don't do that, they're making a massive mistake. And Jaguars fans, Gardner. I'm already calling the Jaguars the Gardners. If Jaguars fans don't hold their team accountable, if I'm a Jaguar fan and my team drafts Trevor Lawrence and doesn't draft a player that helps us win next year, I'd be furious. Because how many times do the Jaguars got to change quarterbacks before they realize, oh, it's our approach. We got to get better players around our quarterback. Just my 2 cents.